go.
All right, guys.
Is that a little? That's
Welcome.
A little loud. We're in the reds.
Oh, in the red. Oh, guys. Okay.
We can't talk in the red.
Sorry.
It's gonna hurt their eardrums.
People always want to hear us more clearly.
They do.
Welcome, guys. This is episode 61 of the TRE live show. Your hosts, Nate and Craig. But today we have a special guest here, Bryan Tublin, local runner, local chef, local restaurateur.
Yeah.
Is going to give us a tour like that.
I like that better than entrepreneur.
Yeah, restaurateur.
Restaurant.
Well, you can't change, dude. You're screwed. But we're going to talk about food today, not just performance nutrition, but really how your everyday nutrition affects your performance on a training level, on a life level. I'm super excited because one, we have a special edition of the Craig smoothie.
We have smoothies. We do.
Cheers.
Now I was over here, doing like real work, like working with the runners, but I heard you guys food geeking out over in the kitchen.
Are you talking about for like the last 6 minutes? Was that your referring to? Okay, great. It's good that we delineated that. So we took 6 minutes to get food, which we then prepared for him and brought it here to your chagrin.
Like I said, I was doing real work, making sure everything was going just fine, and I heard you guys food geeking out there.
Yeah.
So this is very interesting for us because, every week, Craig makes a smoothie. This is like a black box of, I don't know what he's putting
Power
in here.
Foods.
I don't know what he's putting in here.
And
but Bryan,
when you feel a little zippy on Friday mornings, you're like, wow, that was pretty good.
Yeah, or I've wake up in another country and where? How did I get
Your
there?
Your kidneys are removed.
So Bryan, you actually oversaw him making a smoothie.
I did, yeah.
Give us the down low. What do you say?
So I give it a solid A. Solid A. So he started with a base of Swiss chard and some kale.
A- or A?
Solid A.
A teetering on A+.
What do you mean A-? What are you bumping him down for?
Wait. Is this like the day and age of professor grade inflation? Like everyone at the Ivy League school gets an A? Or
No.
is this
Honestly, when he was making
is this 1970s MIT physics teacher where it's everyone is a C?
My physics teacher actually had a very similar haircut to you, so maybe
wow. Maybe it's that, but no, it was
good.
It was a lot of what I would have made for myself. So starting with the base of dark leafy greens that were frozen, which actually keeps the nutrition content, which is great. So Craig was saying he goes to the farmer's market every week, chops up some chard and kale, throws it in the freezer. That's great. He threw in some berries, which I like because they don't have a lot of sugar content, but still a lot of nutrition. So blueberries, strawberries, just a little bit of frozen banana, which is great. Add some flavor, some sweetness, gives you some carbs to give you energy if you're gonna go run later.
Yep.
So that was all good. But then the superfoods was where it got kind of crazy, which most of it's great stuff.
Yeah.
He had this microgreen powder he threw in there.
Yep.
He had collagen from grass-fed beef, which was great.
What does that do?
So,
or roughly?
Yeah, so the high level, it's the same reason why people say drink bone broth, which I actually brought for you guys to try.
Collagen smoothies?
So the high level, it has amino...
Is this kneecap? I'm getting a little...
You're not gonna let him finish answering. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I think that's all Achilles tendon right there in that one. But no, it's got amino acids that help with repair of bone, skin, joint health. It also helps with gut health.
Yeah.
So when people talk about leaky gut, when they're not absorbing the food properly, or they're eating food and it's causing digestive issues, collagen helps kind of just repair that whole system.
That's cool.
So that can help reduce inflammation throughout the body as well. So that's high level what it's good for. Having it in a smoothie, you don't even notice it's there.
Yeah.
So it's a good way to get it in.
Flavorless. And then we had some flaxseed. We had
flaxseed, hemp hearts, goji berries, chia seeds. So I think the slight thing holding me back from super solid A plus, there was a lot of different kinds of seeds, and that can throw off your omega-3, omega-6 balance a little bit.
Interesting.
So depending on what's in there.
Okay.
So I think you had a good mix. A lot of them have high omega-3s.
Now we get the real opinion.
But just be careful with the amount of seeds and stuff, because you don't need a lot to kind of get the fat and the nutrition you need.
So what would the point be in terms of the chia seeds, hemp hearts, and that sort of thing?
Yeah.
Would I put less?
Yeah, just a little bit less, but also maybe you don't need that many.
Okay. I just basically the kitchen sink. I just kind of dump stuff in there.
Again, this is nitpicking. This is not going to throw you off at all.
Specifically, how would I change it?
So for me personally, I would pick maybe a couple of them and do just like teaspoons of them.
Okay, so today we do chia seeds, but we maybe don't do hemp hearts.
Right, exactly. And just vary it up.
I like that.
Vary it up. Like with anything, like you don't want too much of the same thing over and over again. Your body can react in different ways and it kind of gets used to it. The other thing, we talked about the MCT oil a little bit. So Craig put in some medium chain triglyceride oil. And that's a quickly accessible and absorbable fat for the body. So that's,
I used to put that in a little coffee every once in a while.
Yeah, so a lot of people do it when they intermittent fast. They still want energy, but they don't want the calories, they don't want the carbs. So they'll take some MCT oil, which it's medium chain triglycerides, so it's the same kind of fat that you find in avocado, has a lot of it, coconut has a lot of it. It's just a really distilled form in liquid form, so it's easy for the body. But because there's already a lot of fat in that smoothie, I don't think it was particularly necessary.
Okay.
So again, just like balance.
So basically the things that I would kind of be doing one at a time would be the MCT oil, hemp hearts, the chia seeds. Those all kind of serve the same purpose. In a lot of ways. You can just kind of like not throw all of them in there, but just throw like one of them at a time.
Yeah, and again, just experiment.
Okay. And the goji berries, that's kind of different.
Those are great.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so the goji berries, it's more along the lines of why you would have blueberries or strawberries in there. Really antioxidant rich, nutrient rich.
Right.
It's not very
Do they
sugary.
taste good?
I like eating them raw.
I like them. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like kind of sour, sweet type of thing.
Yeah, they're kind of chewy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So you have to. There's a high variance.
Well, cheers, guys. The A+ super geeked out food smoothie.
Tomorrow's A+.
Tomorrow's A+. And I always appreciate it. And I feel like this is a different color. Normally, is it the goji berry?
No, this is red. I have more blueberries in it. And more rainbow chard, and I put some tomatoes in there. That's why it's a little bit
Tomatoes. Yeah.
Oh, so we got a tomato in here too.
Yeah.
Sneaking my vegetables in.
So
Man, I feel so nutritious.
Hot tip on tomatoes real quick. So if you want vitamin C from tomatoes, do it raw in a smoothie like this.
Okay.
If you want the lycopene,
then you have to cook it.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, hey, look at that. Well, we are excited to have Bryan on and to talk about food in general. I thought we'd start with the smoothie because you know it's a staple of our show.
But don't fill up because he brought us a bunch of food.
He also brought us a ton of food. Now, Bryan, we met about a month ago maybe, and we were doing a run together, and we just started talking about, as runners do, like what you like to do and run and how'd you get into it, and you had a very interesting journey getting into running, and like both of us, it actually had some injuries involved. And do you want to, shouldn't we just start there?
Yeah, that's a great place to start. So I moved out to the Bay Area, and as a way to meet people, I joined a running club. So every Saturday I'd go to Crissy Field. We'd go for, between a 5 to 7 mile run. And I was always an athlete, but never super into long distance running.
Yeah, smoothie on your lip there.
Oh man.
There you go.
Thanks for keeping me honest.
Yeah. They say, you're either one of the people who tells your friends they have food on their face, or you're not.
Yeah.
Which one are you?
I like that. So I appreciate you, man.
Which one do you think I am?
We know which one.
The next is if I have some Swiss chard on my teeth.
There you go.
All right, so I joined a running club as a way to meet friends. It also made me fall in love with running. And San Francisco, I mean, you guys probably believe this.
Great way to explore.
Best running city in the world. It's a great way to explore. Always perfect weather. So
road, trails, weather,
hills, flat, anything you want. So I got really into it, and I was doing half marathons. I was doing relay races, like the Ragnar style, 24-hour relay races. I think I did like 5 of those in the course of like a year and a half or something crazy.
Sure.
And suffice it to say, I was doing a lot of running. I was doing a lot of activity. I didn't really know what a recovery run was. I wasn't really stretching. I didn't know how to take care of myself. I was also doing a lot of like full body CrossFit style workouts while I was running 3 or 4 days a week. And I was doing that 4 or 5 days a week. So
it was a lot on the body.
A lot on the body. Didn't really know how to dial in my nutrition. I was kind of eating for fuel. I cared about health, but I wasn't as into it.
What was like without going too deep into the weeds, what was kind of like the broad brush day in the life of Bryan when he was
in this period
running, doing the lifting, crossfitting, and just kind of eating?
So day in the life, at the time I was working a technology job down in Mountain View. I would hop on the Caltrain at 6:10 in the morning, get to the gym at work. I would do like a CrossFit style WOD. And maybe later that day I would go for a run. Or I would do it on my off days. But oftentimes I was lifting and running in the same day. I would eat always a peanut butter and jelly sandwich after I worked out. That was like my go-to. And
are you strawberry or grape guy? Or
Don't say grape.
Strong strawberry.
There you
strong
go.
strawberry.
Strong
there
strawberry.
you go.
So tell me something, just to interject in your story, that's what you did after you work out then. What do you do now?
So now I try to stay away from processed stuff as much as possible. So the reason I don't as much do the peanut butter and jelly style eating is because you can get less processed versions of jam and almond butters and even bread, but I find that I do better personally on things like sweet potatoes, even white rice or plantains, whole foods that I know the one ingredient that it is, and I know how it's prepared. I know it's cooked in healthy oils or fats or whatever. So that's what I do now. And I try to always get simple carbohydrates in, within a 2-hour window. I'm not as strict about like the 15 minutes after. Sure. As long as I get a full meal that has some simple carbs and protein, that's what I try to do.
Okay. Yeah. But
so let me continue. Sorry, I interjected there. I'm sorry,
So I would always constantly be ravenous during that period of time. I remember at the company I worked at, I would buy 2 lunches. I would eat lunch, and then I would eat a second lunch at like 4 p.m. And then I would get home and be starving and eat a big dinner.
Wow.
And it was because what I've learned is that I wasn't fat adapted. I was used to the carb hit. So I would always need carbs, and that's why I was kind of eating like a rabbit basically, but a ravenous one. So that's what I was doing nutritionally at the time. But the point that I was getting to is that all this overloading, and it was a very stressful time. Like I wasn't sleeping a lot. I was prioritizing getting to the gym and working out early and working out 2 times a day. I ended up developing an overuse injury to my right knee. And this happened running up a crazy hill in San Francisco. It was just kind of a twinge, and then I was on my way to a race, and it blew up like a grapefruit at the end of the race. And it was super swollen. And I didn't really know what it was. I had signed up for some races, so I kept running those races the next month, right? So
how many of you guys have done this, right? Where you have injury, it aches, you're like, I'm not really sure, so I think I can make it, and I'll keep going.
Like I don't want to start PT now because I signed up for this race. I'll do it after. And so I did that, which was stupid. And then I started going to PT, and the way they were treating me was kind of like a post-op ACL patient, where they were having me load the knee, doing single leg squats, a lot of crazy stuff, when really what I needed was rest. So after about 9 months of that,
it wasn't 9 months of PT.
It wasn't getting better. It actually got worse. So here's where it gets crazy.
Now, just to interject, when you were doing that PT, were you also trying to keep up with running outside, or was all that other working out kind of shut down while you were doing the PT?
So it went in fits and starts. So my physical therapist at points in time would say, you got to test it. So go out and try to run. And then it would set me back again. So that was partially why it was elongated the way it was.
And then the food came in. How did that come in?
So the food came in. I mentioned that it got worse. I actually got a cortisone injection because nothing was working. And so that's...
Yeah, I've got one of those.
Right. And it actually caused this crazy reaction where now, no matter what I did, my knee was in pain all the time. So I remember going to work, and by noon every day, even just sitting at my desk with my knee in a 90-degree angle, it was blown up, swollen. I could feel it through my pants. It was hot and red.
Oh my god.
So at this point, I knew something was wrong, because you can heal from a broken bone in 6 weeks. Like, why is my knee taking over a year to heal?
What's going on?
And the short version from here on out is, it turned out that I had exacerbated the injury by following the PT advice I was given. I had overloaded it so much that I needed to pull way back, and I knew I needed to figure out my own formula because I really didn't trust the medical professionals I was seeing. So I started researching anti-inflammatory eating because the only thing I knew was that it was inflammation-based tissue injury.
And to be fair, why we're so excited to have you on here today is that this is at the edge of a lot of people's understanding, right? Like, this isn't taught by PTs, right? They really shine when you are in that post-surgical situation. Like, it would have been way easier had you just torn your ACL, right?
Maybe.
Because you've gotten the surgery, you got repaired, and then they have a protocol. But when you get these types of issues, they try to work with the tools they have, but those don't always work.
Right, and that's what I found. And so I knew I had to take it into my own hands. I knew I had to research what would cause the inflammation to go away, how to heal and repair the tissues in my joints. And that's when I started learning about things like collagen, like we talked about before, things like bone broth, anti-inflammatory fats, like what are the good fats and bad fats to cook with, eating nutrient-dense vegetables. And I started just doing it on myself.
And so the swap was like peanut butter and jelly for...
I was eating like big leafy green salads all the time.
Were you a big cereal guy before? Or not really. I love cereal. Right? Like I would eat like a huge like satellite dish of like Life cereal. That was like my favorite thing.
So funny, quick aside, when I was in high school, a doctor that I would get my physicals at told me that my cholesterol was high, so I was eating too much eggs. So since sophomore year in high school through college, every other day I would eat a big bowl of cereal instead of eggs. Now I've learned that that's not necessarily where bad cholesterol comes from.
Right.
But yeah, I started subbing out cereal for things like oatmeal, and then when I was trying to reduce my inflammation, I cut out grains because I was just cutting out anything that could possibly cause an inflammatory response, and so I substituted breakfast with any other meal.
Gotcha.
So my breakfast looked like my lunch, looked like my dinner.
Sure. Yeah, I know that game.
So yeah, I mean, basically, this way of eating was a large part of my recovery. There were other things, like I was depressed, so I had to learn how to get in touch with the mind-body connection and get over that. But I was basically on crutches for 7 months.
Oh wow!
After this period, and food helped me get better, reduce the inflammation, reduce the pain, so that I could start moving my leg again without pain.
Wow, what a story! I mean, this is actually not that dissimilar from Nate and myself. We all had kind of like the same type of come to Jesus moment of like,
seriously,
man, nothing I'm doing is working. Something's not right here. I need to change things up completely.
Yeah.
For me, it was adductors. For you, it was your hamstring.
Yeah, similar thing.
I had my quad there.
I didn't treat it in the same nutritional way that you did, and I'd just be so curious to see, just from that lens, how I would have done or changed. So a big topic today is inflammation.
So first of all, we have not really said hello to everybody yet. First, I see a lot of our friends here in the comments. Guys, if you want a one-on-one nutritional session with Bryan, that is what we are auctioning off. And you can hit that Gleam link below. As always, free to enter, and you should do it, because why would you not? Meanwhile, we're going to talk a little bit more about the food you brought.
Yeah,
right. Sure. Should we go grab it?
Let's go.
I'll go grab it.
Go grab the food. We'll just kind of read off a few comments and questions that people are chiming in so far.
Anything in the fridge, Bryan, or is it?
No, it's all on the counter.
Woo! Carrie says, great session. So glad I could join today for sure. Edward, this guy is brilliant. Oh, hey, here you go, Edward.
Thanks, Edward.
Tanae would make they're talking about broth and veggie broth.
Oh, okay.
So it might be interesting to get your thoughts there. Yeah. Let's see here. Good conversations. The science to smoothies. Who'd have thunk it? Of course. For me, the most important is always fresh produce, local produce, and then enjoy cooking, and then enjoy it.
Enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Well, we'll get into those things today. Grass-fed collagen is great. Love the info. You guys are awesome.
This is amazing.
Love it.
Guys, so first of all, pipe through with your questions, because I have a ton and I will take up all the airtime with my questions.
I know.
Otherwise. So I'm super interested in, one, when I first met you, which is over a year ago now.
Yeah,
right?
Last summer.
When we first met, you were just in the planning stages of your restaurant, which is super interesting. He took over what was formerly a McDonald's in one of the busiest corners of San Francisco, period, 16th and Mission, and has, why don't you describe the new venture, because he has a shirt on, Catawba.
Yeah, so Catawba is the name of my restaurant. Yeah. We opened about a little over 9 months ago is when we officially opened. And our whole goal is to bring healthy, nourishing, nutrient-dense food to more people and make it acceptable and approachable. Mm-hmm. So we want it not to be intimidating for people. We don't want someone to walk in and say, oh, this is that bougie healthy place.
Right.
We want someone to walk in that might be vegan and they're having lunch with a friend who doesn't care at all. They just want to have good food.
Yep.
And they can coexist and eat and have a great meal and feel good about it after.
Yeah.
So that's our whole goal. It's very symbolic that it was a McDonald's.
I love it.
Love that.
And we're doing
does Catawba mean McDonald's in another language? Great question.
Anti-Mickey D's.
So yeah, I mean it doesn't, but it's
if you flip the word over and look at it in a mirror, it says no McDonald's.
Anti-Mickey D's. Yeah. No Moss chicken nuggets. Catawba is actually an island near Papua New Guinea, and the people there don't suffer from chronic illnesses, and they don't suffer from skin disorders like acne and other things, and it's been identified that their diet is the reason why.
Really? Wow.
So they just eat a traditional diet that they find on the land around them. It's all non-processed. It's root vegetables, leafy greens, healthy fats like coconut. And we named the restaurant Catawba to represent cultures like that throughout the world.
Oh, that's great.
And we want to, just like honor that and serve non-processed food. That's great.
Well, how much of a common story is that when like the Western diet gets exported to whatever country, just everything goes to hell in a handbasket from a health perspective?
Yeah, I mean, there's stories of countries that had never really suffered from type 2 diabetes that now it's an epidemic.
Yeah.
And it's because, it's directly related to food.
Yeah.
So, we want to bring it back the other way.
So is the food that you brought from the restaurant?
It's from Catawba, yeah.
Okay, I love it. Let's do it.
Oh man, should we dive into some of this food
Let
here?
me, let me just clear a little bit of space off here.
So this might be good, because I do want to get to some of these questions as we start to pull things out, and maybe we can do a little multitasking as we're sampling. So Azalter23 says, greetings, I'm vegetarian and having an injury into my hip flexors and want to be back. Counsels, thanks from Sweden. And then there is broccoli, cucumber, kiwi, pineapple, grape, pineapple, eggplant.
What does that decodify into? Is that like the ingredients of a new type of smoothie? Because I've never had eggplant in a smoothie
I think that is her question in vegetable emoji form.
I think that you could put eggplant in a smoothie, actually. Right?
You could roast
Can you
it.
eat eggplant raw?
You
I'd be kind of
can.
gross.
I would roast it.
Only if you lose it. Only if you lose a bet.
I'd roast it first.
Yeah.
All
right, what do we have here?
So, I mean, do you want me to...
Yeah, let's go. Let's get into that question and then let's get the food. Craig's all.
Well, I want to see the
food.
So I'll get
Meat
into the
first.
question as I'm unwrapping this this bone broth here. So
Ooh.
basically, if you have an injury, again, inflammation is a huge part of
I'll
it.
get some napkins.
It's natural to have inflammation. You actually want it, but
your body's response is a natural response.
It's your body's response to basically say, whoa, something's wrong, let me slow down and not cause more damage. But at a certain point, you want to kind of quell the inflammation and get back to kind of a normal state, and also add things that are going to be healing and recuperative for whatever's injured. And so the first thing that I would recommend, and again, I'm not a doctor, so take this advice for what it's worth, is to look at the fats that you're consuming and focus on fats that are going to support bone, skin, and joint health, and also reduce inflammation.
Okay.
And so, and also take away fats that are going to be inflammatory. So typically a good guideline that I like to give is that if you can put the source of the fat on a table and squish it with your hand and have it become oily, then it's probably a good fat for you. So if you think about olives, like at room temperature, you just put an olive, you squish it, it's gonna get oily. Olive oil, if you don't cook it at super high heat, is really great for you. Coconut meat does the same thing. Avocado does the same thing. Oils from all those sources are great. If you're vegetarian, I would focus on those. I would stay away from the generic vegetable oils because things like canola, grape seeds, soybean oil, those come from seeds and they require a high heat intensive process, which causes oxidation, which when you consume that in the body, your body reacts to it, causes more inflammation. So that's one thing I'd focus on. I'd also focus on things like soups and broths made from vegetables. It's a good way to get nutrition. So for that person,
like
that's
fish as a fat source.
Fish is great.
Okay.
Fish is great. So if you can eat fish, it's great.
Yeah. So what do we got here? We'll have to hold it up to the camera so these good folks can see.
So sorry for the spillage a little bit.
No worries.
all right.
We got this some turmeric in there. Here you go.
Yeah,
look at this.
So this is a chicken bone broth that's been simmered for just about 24 hours.
Ooh.
Wow.
And it's from chickens that are raised
Do you want to try it first?
on their natural diet.
It's like ceremonial.
Yeah, so this again, it's the same thing about the collagen. There's some good amino acids there that are going to help you repair.
It's good.
Bone, skin, joints.
Yeah.
It's going to help your gut health. It's added. We've added turmeric to this.
Yeah.
So this is, you mentioned,
that gives it that yellowish.
that's why it's yellow. So you mentioned, how can I incorporate turmeric into my diet? I hear about it all the time. This is a great way. Smoothies are a great way. I also brought another dish later that has it in cauliflower rice.
Oh wow. Okay.
So it's something you can add to regular rice, cauliflower rice, any vegetables while you cook. But this is a great way to get it, and it's got the benefits of bone broth.
Do you put it in powder form or do you buy the root?
The root is probably best.
Yeah.
Now, there will be some people who say, I've read that you're not going to get the dosage that I need to really have an impact. You can buy capsules of turmeric as well, which you should also take with black pepper extract to get the most benefit, and like the 500 milligram capsules. That being said, the more you incorporate this kind of food into your diet, it's additive. So it's going to help.
Awesome. So a few great follow-up questions around this. Pam asks, what is a good way to make your own bone broth? And my own addition to this is, every once in a while we'll make our own chicken stock, right? If we roast a chicken, we'll like take the bones, throw in a pot, water, like
Isn't that bone broth?
carrots,
Yeah.
like celery. So my question to add on to this is like, is bone broth the fancier word for stock, or are they actually different?
Yeah. So here's the difference that I'll use. This is the way that I refer to it. Different chefs might have their own opinions, but stock is typically high heat, really quick. You're reducing for flavor, not necessarily nutrition. Bone broth, the way that it's referred to, is it's low and slow. You bring it up to boil, you immediately bring it down, and you let that simmer. And so that's pulling the collagen, all the amino acids, all the good stuff out, and that's why you do it. You don't want that kind of burning off. So when you have a good bone broth that's cooked the right way, it gets gelatinous and like jiggly when you cool it down. That's a really good sign.
Yeah.
Usually with the stock, that doesn't always happen.
Sure.
It can, and they are similar terms. I wouldn't get too caught up on like, is it stock, is it broth? But like typically these days when you hear bone broth, it's the low and slow method.
Low and slow.
Yeah.
And what would be a time frame for that? Like are we talking like, what would be the minimum time frame where you would get a decent broth?
So it depends on the density and the type of bones that you have. If you have thinner bones like chicken bones, I like to do it for at least 24 hours, but even if you do it for 12, there's going to be some nutrition in there. The easiest way to do it is to use a crock pot.
Okay.
So throw it in a crock pot, like a whole chicken. Like
So you're not simmering it with the top off. You are closing it out.
You can, but for people who want an easy way to do it, crock pot's the easiest way. Just put it on low. In the kitchen, we do it with the top off. We have it on simmer. It's in a big pot. It's not in a crock pot.
Goes all night.
Now, also, are you doing just the bones, or are you doing like the whole chicken?
So for the restaurant, currently we get bones and joints, and sometimes there's like skin on there too.
Yeah.
It's not as economical to do the whole chicken,
right?
Because we need to use the meat as well.
Sure. For
there's like business reasons why we currently don't.
That makes sense.
But yeah, I mean, we get for our beef broth too. We get like the beef knuckles, which like you want to get the parts of the bone, the parts of the animal that have a lot of the like gelatinous, like small joints. So for chicken, the feet is really good.
Chicken feet,
right? If you can get it from a good source, like it's important to get good quality bones too, because the bad stuff, if you're eating factory farm beef bone broth, all the bad stuff they're eating is actually going to consolidate into the fat and the joints of the animal.
Okay.
So you want to make sure it's grass-fed, pasture-raised beef, good quality chicken.
Yeah, this is nice. I can kind of get the that little like fattiness in there.
Oh yeah, totally.
Tasty.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the next question would be like, what's an appropriate dose of bone broth for a person? Like what should they consume in a day?
1 chicken per day per person.
Entire chicken.
And like like this is obviously like a fat source. So if I'm all of a sudden eating this, do I need to be potentially removing fats from other areas, or like how do I handle that?
Yeah, good question. So as far as how much, I mean, it really depends on the person. If you do a cup a day, that's great.
Yeah.
Listen to your body. I mean, sometimes I know I'm in a mood for something warm, and instead of tea or coffee, like
I'll do bone broth.
Go to bone broth.
Okay.
Can I substitute bone broth for water into my smoothie?
Absolutely.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh snap.
Yeah.
Bone broth smoothie.
You're gonna want to make sure it's
a
little warmer room temperature, so it's not like gelatinous chunks of broth that you got from the fridge. But you could do it that way.
You still blend it, right?
You blend it. I mean, some people do it with ice cubes too. Like they'll make ice cubes out of it, and they'll cook with that too.
Oh, okay.
They'll use that as a fat source. They put it in smoothies, so you can do it. What was the other question you asked?
How do you balance it with the fat?
How do you balance it with the fat?
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of, again, listening to your body and intuitive eating, and I particularly don't follow macros or count calories or anything like that. And so it kind of depends. I mean, it's a good quality source of fat, but if you do feel like you've had a lot of bone broth that day, then maybe, your next couple meals, if you're feeling like you've had too much, don't eat as much fat.
So if you're adding turmeric to a smoothie, do you need to add like a teaspoon? Or is it like a shake on type of thing?
Honestly, a teaspoon is not going to hurt you. If you shake it on, depends how much turmeric you're eating in your diet overall. It's probably not going to have as much of the benefits.
When I was eating my mom's food, it'd be a lot. We had turmeric growing up, like in everything. But
teaspoon would be
for me. When eating Craig's food.
No, my mom's. Craig's food is very different than my mom's food. My mom's food is like good Indian food. Craig's food is this.
I mean, a teaspoon in like one serving of smoothie is going to be a lot of turmeric, but if you can stomach it, I don't think it could hurt you. Again, everything is taken in totality with what you're doing with the rest of your diet.
Got
So
it.
like if you're eating turmeric with everything, it's like you probably don't need that much.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Cool.
we have some other questions, and from Ann Precinct, she says, any thoughts on phytates and whether we should worry about them binding with minerals like iron? Do you think soaking things like oats overnight with vinegar helps? What about beans and other seeds? So I'm assuming phytates are something that's in these objects. I've never heard that word before.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm actually not going to go super deep into it because
please.
it's a long topic, but you can think of them as
the
anti-nutrients.
phytate forums are a busy place.
They are.
But if you sign up on the Gleam link and get your one-on-one session with Brian, you can go as deep into phytates as you care to, and he will go the whole hour.
Phytate.
But I mean, you can think of them as anti-nutrients that exist in certain plant foods, and soaking does help.
Okay.
Fermenting helps. If you're dealing with things like beans and oats, like soaking them is great, and that's a good way to minimize the potential negative impacts.
Love it.
Yeah.
Cool. A quick one back to the whole broth situation. Do you feel like there's a better meat, chicken over beef, or other animals?
So they have different benefits.
Yeah.
But I personally think that the grass-fed beef bone broth is most beneficial for athletes.
Yeah.
It has, well, one, it does have some protein.
Yeah.
It's got conjugated linoleic acid, which has been shown to promote heart health as well as be preventative for some kinds of cancers. And again, that's not proven ironclad, but there's some real differences between grass-fed beef fat and the dairy that comes from it than traditional factory farmed, and it doesn't exist in chicken. So that's a good benefit. I think it's easier to get the kind of gelatinous collagen structure in the broth from beef just because the bones are bigger and it's easier to get the parts of the animal that you need. So personally, I think there's just more nutrition in there.
Yeah.
And buying bone broth versus making it, is it economical to make it? Is it time-wise and...
Well, time-wise, I mean, if you use a crock pot, you set it and forget it, it's great.
Okay.
It's more economical than buying it at a restaurant or as a packaged item.
Yeah.
But it's about your lifestyle.
Yeah.
And if you don't have access to a good butcher, that's relatively affordable.
Yeah.
There's some great brands that are available in almost every major supermarket these days.
Okay.
Just make sure that you look up the sourcing and you make sure you believe in the rest of the ingredients that are in there. But you can actually get it. It's a cool time.
Yeah.
Like when I started doing this, it was 2012.
Yeah.
So that was like before it was a big thing. So now it's everywhere, which is cool. Like I wish it was.
You had it
if
back
you live
then,
in San Francisco, for you guys who don't live in like a really large city where people are like hip
totally hip to this stuff
and getting bone broth at your local corner market, which you can do here. Making bone broth. I find what I do is I take, whenever I have like meat sources, I take everything that I want to put into. You might have seen it. Like when I just pull out my fridge, I have a bunch of Ziploc bags that I reuse, and anything that goes like extra carrot bits, extra bits of whatever that I like, vegetable that I chopped up, I throw it into the freezer into a bag. I have one bag for veggie stuff, one bag for like meat stuff. And then when it builds up enough, I'm like, this is enough, dump it in the stock pot.
That's great. That's awesome. Yeah. And that's pretty easy for you to do, right?
It is pretty easy. I'm not eating a whole lot of meat now, so I haven't done meat broth in a while, but
Cool.
Yeah.
Huh. So is it better for, and we can go move on to other areas of the broth, and we'd love to see the other food. Like,
we have so much, man.
I know, right? Do you like raw bones? If you're going to a butcher shop, should people get like bones that are uncooked, or should they have been like roasted and cooked first? Because obviously, if it's like, if you've like cooked a chicken, like their bones have gone through some sort of process, and then then you're roasting them down. Like, is it nutritionally different if they're raw?
There's no consensus on that, to be honest. Personally, I think some people like the taste of the roasted bones better. I actually don't think it's as beneficial if you roast it, but that's just my personal point of view based on what I've read, and there's no specific scientific evidence.
What it means is stop asking questions so we can keep moving on.
So guys, this is we talk about having whole foods and eating in a way that's going to support your health. So this is actually a bean-free hummus. It's one of our
Whoa.
best sellers at the restaurant. It's a
Bean-free.
butternut squash hummus.
Butternut squash hummus.
Yeah.
Check this out, guys.
Yes. So what this is
I'd be the worst chef show ever because I just want to eat it. I don't want
Smells
to talk
good.
about it all.
And what we got to complement it?
So these are yucca root chips.
Okay.
So
Yucca root
we make
chips.
these in house.
Woo.
It's kind of like a potato, but it's not in the potato family, but it's a root vegetable, and it's not as doesn't have as high of a glycemic hit as a white potato does, and it doesn't have like the anti-nutrients that a white potato does. So we cook that in palm oil that's sustainably sourced. Palm oil is a great healthy fat.
Oh, man.
We make sure the sourcing
Dude,
is
that is
not
bomb.
killing orangutans. So this is a great way to get those simple and complex carbs. So if you had a long run, this is like a great snack to have
This
afterwards.
is really good.
Oh man.
Wow.
You know what I just realized?
What did you sprinkle over it?
You
What's
remember
this
all
little
those
delicious-
food shows in the 80s and the 90s? Yen Can Cook, all the ones, Rachel Ray, if you're like lately, whatever. And you're always watching them, and you're like, man, I love like looking at all this food being made, it's so delicious, but you never get to taste it. And I just realized, this is what it feels like to be on the side. And it's really good. You should definitely try this sometime.
Wow, that is like creamy and delicious. Like, is there a
Where will if people in SF, where will they find Catawba?
yeah?
So, I mean, if you Google Catawba Kitchen, you will find us. Yelp us, Facebook, Instagram, Catawba Kitchen.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, but we're at
All
16th
those are
Division.
in the we'll definitely spread that around. But if you're in San Francisco, 16th and Mission, it's on the Muni line, the BART line. It's very easy to get to, and this is amazing. Yeah.
Oh,
So-
man. That is really good.
You had asked what's on top. On top is sumac, which is like a Middle Eastern Mediterranean spice, and it's a warming spice. So it complements the sweetness of the butternut.
What does warming spice mean? Like it just is like, is it like
Nutmeg.
not spicy? Is it?
So there are herbs.
Because like I know what you mean. It's like ooh, like it's fall. It feels
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
we'll get you in on the screen. I know we gotta be all close.
Yeah, I was making room for the food.
There you go.
So I don't know. There are herbs and spices that have a cooling effect, and others that have a warming effect on the body. And so some herbs and spices in that category are things like cloves, nutmeg, cinnamon.
Oh, man, this is good.
ginger.
It's really tasty.
Sumac is one of
Man,
those.
so like, are we gonna be seeing like sumac pumpkin lattes anytime soon?
Maybe, man. I've seen za'atar in a lot of things lately.
Yeah,
like the whole
there we
Middle
go.
Eastern Mediterranean thing is catching on.
Delicious.
This is basically you roast the squash first.
Yes.
Look at this.
You scoop it out
So
and you
good.
blend it.
Exactly, and there's
You blend it with
also
a nut?
there's tahini.
Ah, gotcha.
So tahini in there, which is just a nut butter paste.
you know, I was at Shed, which is my favorite restaurant. Is called Shed. It's in
Up in wine
Healdsburg,
country.
yeah. And they have I've kind of explored both at them, and they're in like at Spirit Rock, where I go for meditation retreats. And they have all vegetarian food, so they have these different types of hummus. Like I've had like it's like a hummus type mix where it's like mostly beets and walnuts, or like they've had like carrot hummus at Shed before, and stuff like this is just amazing. Like hummus is such a like we think of it only as being chickpeas, olive oil, and tahini, but you can really make it with it just about anything.
Yeah, we have a version we made with beets that was really good that we put on special. But yeah, so for people who are like on the paleo diet or the keto diet, this isn't quite keto because it's still got carbs, but it doesn't have the beans. And so people who are sensitive to beans, this is a good option for them.
Yeah.
So again, we try to be amenable to people with all different dietary types at Catawba, and this is a good example of that.
This is really cool, and what I love about this is that these are concepts that extend really to all nutritional types, right? So if you're someone who does eat meat or someone who's just totally vegetarian, like this is all very accessible. Barbie says anti-inflammatory foods are essential, and adding collagen and other superfoods has helped me. I use bone broth too. She said before that, I've had 4 surgeries on my hip from an auto accident, and what I eat has had a significant effect on my recovery.
Awesome.
Barbie, it'd be interesting to know how you put 2 and 2 together, because most people don't. Like, I don't know if I would have. It'd be interesting to kind of hear about that. Now, earlier you talked about this concept of intuitive eating.
Yeah.
What is that?
Man, I feel
What
like
is this crazy modern concept of intuitive eating?
So it sounds hippy dippy, and it is actually fairly difficult if you are changing your diet away from a heavily processed food diet. But basically, what it just means is checking in and seeing what you need. And
What are you craving now?
yeah, especially for athletes and people in the running community, your body's going to tell you if you need protein or fat or carbs.
Yeah.
It takes some experimentation though to figure that out. And so not restricting yourself, eating real whole food and going after what it is your body's telling you need.
Yep.
So that's what it means.
I always find that like the thing I can notice the best is my need for salt.
Yeah. What are some of the things, and again, this is hard because it is sort of this intangible thing, but like if your body's telling you that it needs more fat, like how, I don't even know if you can put it into words, but like what is that, like how would you be like, I think I need more fat, right?
Yeah, I mean, fat's actually the hardest one to identify as a physical symptom.
What are you doing?
I feel like
you need more fat. Look at this. It's all skin and bones right here.
What I would say is when you are in tune with your diet and your body, when I know that I need more fat is actually when I find myself getting hungry between meals.
Okay.
And it typically means that I just haven't consumed enough good quality fat to get me through.
Right.
Because I don't...
The other direction a lot of people go there is they will go for like the quick snack, which a lot of times could be that quick carb-based thing.
Right. Mm-hmm. So for me, I've gotten to the point where I call it fat adapted.
Mm-hmm.
My body is able to go long stretches without having that carb hit.
Yeah.
Whereas before, I mentioned I used to buy 2 lunches because I needed it.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
But now I know that I can go longer stretches. So in and around my workout times, I like to have carb and protein heavy meals.
Yeah.
The rest of the day, I like to repair with protein but have more fat.
Okay.
And so if it's, let's say I work out in the morning and it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon and I find myself hungry, that probably means that I didn't eat enough fat or protein for lunch.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and again, fat and protein in nature is always paired. So if you think about
It's
natural sources of protein, always have a fat with it.
Interesting.
And like I always recommend, if you're eating good quality meat, have it with the skin,
Right.
Because that has a lot of nutrition. And it has a lot of the good fat.
Yep.
What's your opinion on low-fat milk, low-fat yogurt?
Goat milk.
Not a fan of the low-fat stuff.
Just don't.
If you're gonna,
just don't, Craig. We're having a serious conversation here, folks. Craig's coming in with his goat milk stuff. I know.
Do we need to start talking about salmon again?
I did. I actually added a salmon quote in there earlier. Continue.
I feel like I'm the outside of an inside joke right
This is
now.
actually not an inside joke. This is a joke with everybody here because we keep going these tangents on our things. He went on a tangent on salmon the other day that lasted
for
the
a
majority
really
of the
long
show.
time. Like
And then goat milk has been this thing
like
that
we
our
were replacing
nutritionists-
carb loading with like salmon loading
Nice.
before races, and
Yeah.
then someone's like, I ate salmon like 5 days in a row before my race, and we're like, it's a thing, and then it just spiraled as it usually does.
Yeah.
Swam upstream.
Hey,
like salmon do.
that's not a bad fad to be a part of.
No, I know,
salmon's
right?
great.
No.
Right?
You
Yes.
asked about low-fat dairy. So my whole thing with dairy, it really matters the quality of the animal it's coming from.
Yeah.
I hate factory farmed dairy.
Okay.
Like
Yep.
it's just so bad for you. And a lot of the low-fat milks also have like added things like flavorings and sugars
Yeah.
and just like garbage. So for me, like whole full-fat dairy from grass-fed animals is great if you can tolerate dairy.
Yeah.
But I'm not a fan of like the low-fat yogurts and like
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, it causes a lot of issues. Dairy actually is like, oftentimes when I talk to people, especially athletes,
Yeah.
they take out dairy, they're like, oh wow, I feel less bloated on my runs.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, I
it's,
feel so
it's
much
an
better.
easy thing to cut out and just like experiment. And if you love cheese, like eat your cheese, but like figure out what
Yeah.
works for you.
Yeah.
Hard cheeses oftentimes are better than soft cheeses for a lot of people.
Hard cheese is great. And we should ask about goat milk. And the goat milk joke is, our, in-house nutritionist Elizabeth, who's been with us now for over 2 years, we were doing a call like probably 2 years ago, and she was just like, without, correctly, she was like, oh yeah, you should do this, like you should start drinking goat milk. And she just like sailed right by this thing, and then I was like, well, let's back up for a minute. It's like,
What about the goat
where
milk?
did we get to goat milk? Like, where on earth did this come from? So,
I mean, if you think about it, I actually, not that I drink a lot of goat milk,
Yeah.
but they're not really factory farmed goats in anywhere.
yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So like, it's a ruminant that's eating grass,
Yeah.
eating their natural diets. It's probably not hopped up on steroids and antibiotics and hormones and things. It's milk just like cow's milk.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it might be better.
Yeah.
Because you know that the source
On
is
average, goat milk is probably healthier than the average.
factory farm
Yeah.
garbage. So, I mean, I'm not as honed up on the distinctions between why goat milk versus cow's milk. If they're
Yeah.
both raised on pasture, I want to
Yeah.
say they'd be fairly similar, but
Yeah, there's just not as big of a market for goat milk, so you're probably not going to have the yeah. That's
Yeah.
actually a very interesting point. I hadn't thought about it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you got?
Oh man.
Well, wait, I know what I got. Hold on.
What do you
Don't
got?
know more questions.
No, I'm.
There's
I
more
keep
stuff in
chiming
here.
There's more. Craig is more excited about the food part.
Hey, when this show was planned, what I was planned was treats. And treats I shall have. It is 12:45. You want to see the rest of the treats, don't you?
This
okay,
looks
so this is what I'm saying.
beautiful.
So Craig, there is meat here. Fair warning.
No, it's totally fine. I
So
eat
guys,
meat too.
check
I got
this
some
out.
Works for you guys.
I've
So what
only
do
just
we-
been eating
so-
more vegetarian, but I'm not vegetarian.
So I wanna
yeah.
I wanna hold this up so the good internet people can see. And can you kind of point to what we got going on here?
So guys, this is our Cuban bowl, and it's one of our most popular items.
It is. Whoa, this
Here
looks delicious.
we've got a pasture-raised heritage breed pork shoulder from Marin Sun Farms. So it's a local,
that
local
place is
farm.
good.
Yep.
Best kept secret in the fast casual SF restaurant scene right here, because you can't get pork of this quality at the price point we're doing it anywhere. It's
wow,
really
really?
nutritious. It's got a lot of the similar benefits that grass-fed beef has.
Yeah.
Slightly different because they're eating more than just grass.
Yeah.
But it's great, the healthy fats in there.
Pork shoulder is usually a fattier cut. You can usually get it a little cheaper than other things.
Yeah, they call it pork butt.
Yeah.
Pork shoulder, pork butt.
It's good to smoke.
So eat some pork butt, it's good. This is our kale slaw salad, and it's just a bunch of dark leafies. We've got some cabbage in there, we've got some carrots, and it's got a homemade tomato vinaigrette that we use with olive oil. So there's no extra sugar in there, there's no vegetable oils, it's olive oil. Here we have some plantains.
Oh,
Love it.
yeah. Just like
Avocado.
roasted plantains.
These are cooked in palm oil. So
Okay.
we fry these in palm oil.
Oh, wow.
And fried food can be healthy. This is a whole other tangent, but it depends on the smoke point of the fat, the quality of the fat. We're doing it the right way here. You gotta
Yeah.
trust me on this.
Gotcha.
It's avocado, obviously. Great for potassium, really good source of fat.
Dang.
This is cumin spiced beans. And so
Okay.
we soak these overnight. We talked about soaking before.
Yep.
Cumin is a carminative herb, which helps reduce like flatulence and the negative aspects of when you eat beans. And this is cauliflower rice.
Less gas, guys. Less gas.
Less gas. Less gas on the runs. This is cauliflower rice that we've added onions, garlic, and turmeric to.
Oh,
so it's a
man.
turmeric cauliflower rice.
This looks awesome. So this is what I got for lunch. Craig, what are you gonna eat?
I'm sorry. Why don't you go back to your questions here, and I'll take care of this stuff right here.
Oh man, David says the Cuban bowl is beautiful.
I got one.
Jamila
Thank
Adams says yummy. Tanae says I'm hungry right now.
Well, so what is the
Barbara
price
Lenny,
point
yum.
of this?
So this dish here, depending on it, the normal version comes with white rice and beans.
Sure.
I've added the cauliflower rice for a couple
Sure.
extra bucks, but it's around $16.
Okay.
For
Yeah.
this.
That's great.
So it's not the cheapest dish, but it's reasonable. Everything on the menu is under $20. So for the quality
And
of
it's
ingredients,
also
we
like
think
it's
fair.
like a
I went
good
to-
amount of food. Like my thing, especially in the Bay Area, and guys, obviously prices are different depending on where you are. You know, I just
that was wonderful.
I just bugs me when you pay $18 and it's like a tiny thing. Like if this was $18, you're like,
yeah.
come on, dude.
Right.
Well, I went to get a burrito the other day, and I spent $15 on one burrito. I was like, I didn't even get a drink.
Was it a salmon burrito?
Was it a roasted
no,
salmon?
it was.
burrito?
Was it salmon? No, it wasn't.
There you go. You're getting the hang of it.
No.
There we go.
I didn't even got it. Come on. Oh, the
with
cumin
some-
and the beans.
He's picking up right where
Topped
it
with
is.
goat milk crema.
Tell you what, you guys
Wow.
keep talking.
And he's just gonna
Yeah.
eat over here. So Rachel asks, I was thinking about this topic this week as I'm dealing with another injury. Can the food I eat affect the way my body performs, i.e. can food help me avoid injuries?
Yeah, I think so. I think the more that you preventatively eat in a way that's going to support your body, I definitely think it can have a beneficial effect. Obviously, if you're an athlete and you're running, there are physiological, like physical injuries that can occur. But if you preventatively eat this way, you're probably going to recover faster. Your body might not necessarily, put yourself in a position to get.
And guys, I don't think, Brian is saying that, you can eat delicious heritage range slow roasted pork shoulder instead of working on your run form or rolling out your quads after a hard run or anything like that. But this is just another piece to complement.
It's all part of the formula.
Yeah, but the bone broth, that replaces like the hard workouts, right? If I just do this,
If
I'm
you
gonna-
do that, you never have to
Excellent.
stretch.
That pork is really good. I'm
glad you like it.
No.
So good. So how did you come up with these recipes, and like what's that process been like? For you guys, if you are just tuning in, Brian is a local Bay Area runner who has recently opened a restaurant. His journey getting into eating this way had a huge part of his like difficulty getting over a really bad knee injury. Kind of exhausted the more traditional cures out there, physical therapy, cortisone shots, and nothing worked. And it wasn't until he started to change how he eat that really made the difference. And then this really inspired you to open a restaurant.
Yeah.
So now he's got this restaurant, and how do you come up with the menu? Like, what are the things that go into that?
Yeah, so a little bit of background. So when I decided that I wanted this type of food to exist, I started a business that the purpose of which was to teach me how to cook and run a food business. And so I did that for a couple years. I was
doing delivery at that point, right?
I was doing, my business partner started a business that was delivery only. I started a business that was selling at farmers markets, catering,
right.
And I was actually specializing initially in bone broth, which is funny.
Oh, really?
We merged last year together.
Okay.
And so we both philosophically believe in the same stuff. And so when it came to developing the menu for the restaurant, we had to take what we were doing separately and bring it together. So it was a lot of experimentation, and we had a baseline nutrition philosophy we were trying to follow.
Yeah.
Like, we wanted real food. We cared about protein sourcing. We wanted it to be vegetable centric.
Yeah.
We wanted to use healthy fats and oils, but we also wanted culinary inspiration from all over the world. I mentioned like the name Catawba comes from a traditional food culture.
Yeah.
And we really wanted it to be accessible, as I mentioned before. So having a Cuban bowl on the menu, for instance, there's ingredients that people who are native to the mission can walk by and say, I recognize plantains. Like, I love pork shoulder.
Yeah.
It's California, so avocados are great and everything.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we were able to identify the items, and then from there it was using the food philosophy and making it delicious.
That's really
so
good.
a lot of experimentation.
What are the
That's
hours
so
there?
good.
What time do you guys open and close?
We're open currently from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week.
That's amazing.
That's so
Oh
good.
wow, that is like so. You guys are the escape valve on healthy dinner.
Yeah.
Now,
It's
guys,
amazing.
time is flying here. It is almost the end of the hour, and if you guys want a one-on-one nutrition consultation with Bryan, he will answer really any questions you have, walk through your day-to-day diets, make any suggestions you want to tweak. Maybe he'll even share one or two of these little delicious recipes. Hit that Gleam link down below and check him out, and follow Steph on Instagram. It's just super interesting, inspiring.
Have you guys thought about that? Like, I thought about sharing recipes and stuff like that.
Yeah, we actually have, so on our website we have a lot of ingredients for our dishes.
Yep.
Not the recipes, but the ingredients are listed. We've done one interview where we shared the butternut squash recipe.
Oh,
so
yeah.
if you actually do some Googling, Catawba butternut
You
squash,
might be able to find it.
You might be able to find it.
That's so good.
Yeah, it's something that we.
I feel like this could add to like someone's Thanksgiving, deal.
We,
a little butter squash in there, a little different look.
We might be able to put that in the show notes, but we'll
Erin,
see
my
about it.
wife, says Bryan just won me over. Food looks bomb, and supporting our local farmers.
Awesome.
Addie says please ship to Austria.
One day.
Yeah, exactly right. Sem just says lobster burrito.
Oh, for the $16 burrito.
Oh yeah, exactly.
That'd be more like a $40 lobster burrito over here.
Oh my god. We got a good question in, and I want to hear you address this. How do you get calcium in without dairy? And the other interesting thing that I've heard is that there's a difference between calcium coming in and calcium kind of staying in the system, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so calcium, it's similar to dealing with electrolytes.
Right.
Like, it's actually not just about getting like potassium in, for instance. It's like the balance between salt, potassium, and a bunch of other things.
Yeah.
It's similar with calcium. Like, you actually want vitamin D. You
Right.
want fat soluble vitamins like vitamin K, vitamin E. You want those in there as well so that the calcium stays in. So it's actually not just about overloading on calcium. But what I will say is, I can name a couple things, but you can Google most nutrient-rich sources of calcium, and there's a website called, I think it's whfoods.com, and it'll list in rank order the most the most foods that are rich in calcium.
Okay.
A couple things to just throw out there though: small fish like sardines or anchovies, like any tiny fish that like has the bones that you eat.
Yeah.
That's a great source of calcium, dietary calcium. There's also benefits to eating things like Swiss chard. And spinach and leafy greens is another good way to do it. So
it's not just dairy.
It's not just dairy. That's like a big misconception.
Is dairy the best? Is dairy? Cheers, right? Is dairy the best source of calcium?
I do not. If your goal is to support bone health, number one, I don't think it's the best source of calcium. Number two, it's not the best source to support bone health, in my opinion.
Okay.
I think the small fish is probably the number one way. And then,
You used to eat your fish from a can.
I still do.
I know.
I do too.
I got ridiculed on the show, so we haven't brought them back. Just saying.
I'm weird. I eat sardines out of
they
cans.
are good, but there's
I made him eat some on live.
So in my defense, I feel like the canned sardines of today are maybe different from the canned sardines of like 20 years ago.
Should I show you my stock of
know.
canned sardines? Would you like to see them?
You're gonna pull them out whether I say yes or no.
So
you might as well.
Wild Planet sardines are the ones to get.
Yeah.
They're available at Safeway.
Yeah.
So like most grocery stores, I feel like Europe actually has great sardines available. So the guy in Austria, look for sardines at your local supermarket. And I like to. There's recipes like you can kind of make like tuna salad, but with sardines.
Oh, interesting. I like them on pizza. I mean, like pizza, and it's a traditional. Like Aaron and I were just in Italy, and it was like the traditional pizza Napolitana. I think it has sardines. It's like
these are my favorite sardines.
Really good.
Wild Planet. There we go. Yeah.
These are the only ones that they're sustainable. If you care about that, I happen to.
Ooh.
They come in different flavors, and they're like reliably not like causing you to taste like sardines for the rest of the day. Like some of the ones you like eat
sardine burps.
Whew. I had these ones that were like in lemon pepper oil. I swear to God, I felt them for like the next 2 days.
Yeah.
So yeah, these are them. I really like the ones in marinara sauce. It's kind of like another extra flavor. If you're putting them in something else, then the olive oil and the water also work well.
Now, question: are sardines like Transformer salmon? Like, can they like assemble into like a thing where all of a sudden it's like a giant salmon fish?
That's what I eat.
No,
the transformed version.
You know how people make fun of like dad jokes? I think salmon jokes are like a step below.
Ooh,
it's like below the dad jokes.
I am gonna take that as an affront and a challenge to continue adding salmon jokes for the rest of 2018.
We need to get Wild Planet to sponsor our
goals.
live show. We've still shown them on here so much.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So if you're listening, Wild Planet, send us some free sardines.
Oh man, so good.
Guys, if we only have 2 minutes left, you should, we're going to do the giveaway. As you all know, we do the giveaway from last week, so it gives all you guys who are not watching this live a chance to enter the giveaway.
Yeah.
So we'll be giving away the free session with Brian next week. But meanwhile, last week we had a free session with Dr. Greg McMillan.
We're going to do our drawing from last week. Let me pull up and make sure I'm doing the
It's actually not Dr. Greg McMillan, is it? It's just Greg McMillan. Coach Greg McMillan. Maybe he's a doctor. My initials are MD, so I'm kind of a doctor.
He is he's gone deep in the exercise physiology world.
That's true.
That man is a smart cookie. So we got a free month of coaching with Mr. McMillan. Very exciting stuff. We have 2 winners. Like you, and this is all over the interwebs. So anywhere in the world you can do this.
That's right.
Doing the drawing.
Boom.
Perfect. We've got Elliot Silkoff from Tel Aviv, Israel.
Elliot.
Okay. Congratulations, Elliot, if you're watching now.
Yeah.
Or you're watching the replay. Congrats, we'll reach out via
she
email.
won because she followed us on Instagram. And then
Haley Miller, who's on today's show. She's been peppering in there.
Awesome.
You also won from Oshkosh, Wisconsin.
Go Badgers.
Go Badgers.
She said.
So congratulations, guys. We'll reach out with information to get that free month of training.
And if you guys want to win something like this, make sure you enter the Gleam link for Brian's stuff. We'll be giving away next week. Brian, just want to thank you for coming out over, bringing the food.
Pleasure, guys.
Really appreciate it.
So good. We got all this delicious food. Guys, look at this. This is just so tasty. We've just eaten it bomb. Thank you so much.
I feel like this should go, we should preserve it by put it in the fridge. Don't want it to get bad.
Yeah, no, this is your fridge. I don't think so. Anyway.
Guys, we should definitely have you on again.
Yeah,
I could ask you questions for another hour. Really appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. This was a great show, and we had a lot of participation. Oh, look, Haley's on there saying awesome about her win. I will say, guys, if you consistently come to the show and you consistently enter, you will win.
You're going to win something.
We keep telling people this, and they're like, oh my God, I didn't think I was going to win. I was like, you will eventually win something. We eventually give away lots and lots of stuff. So we love to do this. We love interacting with you guys. We love having guests in person.
So good.
Especially when they give us treats.
Yeah, exactly.
But thank you guys so much for signing on. We will see you next time. Wait for the outro. Hold on. Here you go. I forgot it last week, and then Nate was like, did you do the outro? And I was like, I didn't do the outro.
So transitioning, outro time.
This is actually a cool video from one of our coaches about lots of post-run mobility.
And he has a lot of different hats on, which is really fun.
Yeah, that's true.
What's up, everyone? This is a 10 to 15 minute hip routine for runners it's basically targeting every kind of angle of the hip that we can get into. So we've got a bunch of tissue stuff, we've got some actual joint and stretch stuff. So whether you've got glute pain or hip flexor issues or whatnot, going through this entire routine, again, 10 to 15 minutes, just sit down and watch a TV show and do it or something, is a great call for you. So let's dig into it.